Okay, we are back. This is section 14.3 and we're looking at page 2. So this example says, find the standard deviation for the data set. And we have that same data set that we started off with. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and to do the first column, we're going to say the data value, 89, minus the mean. Well, we don't know the mean, so we're going to have to go ahead and figure that out off to the side here. So x bar, what does that equal? We should probably start using our formula sheet a little bit because it will help us with this. I'm looking for it. I don't see it, but we'll go ahead and just write the formula down. I'll find my formula sheet later. Okay, that's what the formula is. Add all data. Okay, divide by the number of data values. Okay, that's the formula for mean. So what is that going to mean we're doing? We're adding 89 plus 72 plus 100 plus 87 plus 65 plus 98. I have a feeling I'm getting over there too far. You can't see. Plus 77 plus 92. Okay, and we need parentheses around all this. Divided by what? How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So go ahead and put an 8 in there. Okay, so now we have to add up. So we're going to say 89 plus 72 plus 100 plus 87 plus 65 plus 98 plus 77 plus 92. Okay, that's 680. Divided by 8. Okay, so divided by 8 equals 85. Okay, now do a little sanity check on it. Take a look at it. Does that look like that's the mean? If we look at our data values, 85 is somewhere in the middle of those data values. So that makes sense. Okay, so now we can plug that back in. So 85. So when we do this, this is your data value right here. Let's do it in red. Okay, so that is the data value. Okay, every time you're putting in for x, the data value. Every time you're going to put in the mean, which is 85 in our particular case. Okay, so if you want, you can go through and just write this in. 72 minus 85, 100 minus 85, 87 minus 85. It's always minus 85 because that's the mean. 65 minus 85, 98 minus 85, 77 minus 85, and 92 minus 85. Okay, let's go ahead and figure out what the answer is. So here it's 4, and here it is 72 minus 85. It's going to be 7, but negative, right? Let's make that real obvious here. How about we try it again and get negative 13? You can do it on your calculator if you want. Different signs, so we subtract, we get 13, and since the 85 is bigger, it's a negative. Okay, here we're going to get positive 15. Here we're going to get 2. Here we're going to get negative 20. Here we're going to get positive 13. Here we get 8, I think we have, negative. And here we're going to have 7. Okay. All right, so now what are we doing? We figured out what all those answers were. Now we have to square it. So we're going to take 4 and square to get 16. Now, if you're using your calculator, you're going to want to complete one row at a time. So let me show you what you're going to do. You're going to say here, let's see. If you have 100, you can say 100 minus 15 equals. And, okay, I did that wrong. It's 100 minus 85 equals, okay? And then you're going to go ahead and, once you have 15 in there, square it and put in equals. And so you won't have to do so much inputting into your calculator. Okay, 15 squared is 225. Okay, let's make sure it works for something. Well, the next one we get, we'll see. is a negative. So this is 2 squared is 4. So let me make sure that we can do it on our calculator. Let's see, 65 minus 85 equals. So we do get a negative 20. Now let's go ahead and hit the square button. We know it should be a positive answer, and sure enough it is, so that works. So you're going to want to do it that way. Okay? So let me show you another, let's do the last couple of them. So you'd say 98 minus 85 equals. You get 13, then you hit the square button, equals 169. But I've got to write that down. 13 squared is 169. Okay, then you're going to say 77 minus 85 equals, we get negative 8, and then we're going to hit our square button and equals 64. Okay, so that'll be the quick way to do it. Okay, so now what are we supposed to do? Well, we have to add all of these values up. Okay, so here we go with our calculator. We have 16 plus 169 plus 225 plus 4 plus 400 plus 169 plus 64 plus 49. And that equals 1096. Okay, so if we're going to figure out what our standard deviation is, okay, so this is our mean, then our standard deviation equals S. What does it equal? Well, the formula says the square root of the sum of x minus x bar all over n minus 1. I need a square on that. Sorry about that. The sum of x minus x bar squared divided by n minus 1 and the square root of that. Okay, so we are going to put it in here. This right here, let's make a note. This right here is the sum of x minus x bar squared. Okay, that's what that is. So we're going to put in 1096 divided by what? N minus 1. So count up how many data points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 minus 1. You might want to put parentheses around that. Okay, and then we need big parentheses around this whole thing to make this work right. Okay, so let's go ahead and use our calculator again. Make sure, I've moved over way too far. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. We have clear. We're going to do second square root. So get your square root in there. Then you have a parenthesis. You're going to say 1096. Now what's easiest is just to write down 7. So let me slide it over and say that what we're figuring out here is 1096 divided by 7. That's going to be so much easier. Okay? So divided by 7, close it up, and equals. And what do we get? We get 12.5128 on forever. 12.5128 on forever. Okay, that is our S. Okay, that's our standard deviation. So if we're going to round it, we'll probably just round it to 1 decimal place. Let's go ahead and say that S is equal to 12.5. Okay, that's our standard deviation. So that talks about the spread of the data. Okay? When we look at our data and we see, we're going to learn more about what this means, but we can see that if we take the middle and how far we're spreading, 12.5 seems like a reasonable number talking about spread. Okay, so now it is time for you to try, but you know what? Let's go ahead and do one more example, and then I'll send you to your classwork. So here we go again. We need to calculate x minus x bar. So this is a data value, okay? And this is the mean. So we have to figure out what is the mean. Okay, so let's go off to the side here. So let's kind of make ourselves some space. Okay, so x bar is equal to add all data values over number of data values. Okay. So what do we get? We get 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 6. Okay, there's an easier way to do this, isn't there? We could have said 1, 2, 3, 4 fours, so 4 times 4. And how many sixes? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sixes, so 4 times 6. That would have been a little easier way to do it, but we've already got it written down now. How many data values? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There won't always be 8. That's just what's happened here. So you have to be careful. When you're doing data values, the mean, you have a denominator of just n. When you're doing s, you have a denominator of n minus 1. So be careful with that. Okay, this is 10, this is 10, this is 10, that's 10. It's 40. Divided by 8 is 5. So that's our mean. So when we're calculating this, then our mean is equal to 5. Okay, so that's what's going in there each time. So 4 minus 5. Okay, so this time let's use our calculator. So we're going to move that up a little bit. 4 minus 5 equals, and we see here we get -1, so go ahead and put in -1. Then what are we going to do? We're going to say -1 squared, and what's that equal to? Well, we just go ahead and put our squared button, and we get 1. Okay? So the next problem now, we have 6 minus 5 equals 1. And then we're going to square 1. Well, we probably don't need our calculator for that. Okay, but you could do it. 6 minus 5 equals, and then square it equals. It's 1. Okay, now there's no reason for us to keep doing this over and over. We know the answers, so let's just go ahead and say that this is, when we have put in a 4, 4 minus 5 is going to be equal to -1. But we get a 1. So here we get a +1, here we get a -1, and we're just going to repeat these over and over because that's all the data values we have. So every time we're going to get a 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay? So when we're not adding those, we're adding these. Okay, so now we want to do standard deviation, which is equal to the sum of, I'm going to need it to be bigger than that, aren't I? For you to be able to read it. Square root. What am I thinking? Square root first. And then the sum of x minus x bar squared over n minus 1. Okay? So this part right here is from adding this column here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? So that goes in there. So in the numerator, so again, let's write. This is the sum of x bar minus x bar. No bar on this guy. X minus x bar all squared. Okay? So we put 8 in the numerator. What is this in the denominator? Well, the number of data points, which is 8 minus 1. Let's go ahead and figure that out first. 8 over 7. Okay? We want to do that before we actually take the square root. So let's try here. So let's see. We have square root, and then we have 8 divided by 7, close the parentheses, equals. We get 1.06904 on forever. If we round right here, we're going to have s equals 1.1. And that's our answer there. Okay, so now I want you to go ahead and do your classwork and then come back to the next page.